Hello everybody, how's it going? Thank you for joining. Let me pull up chat here in a second. I want to start off by saying yes, so what I said in my video was that, you know what, just don't get rid of Grealish. And what do I do? Of course, I got rid of Grealish. I brought in Mahrez. So let me see if I can find this chat so I can actually see what's going on. Ooh, what a terrible thumbnail that was. Yikes, that was pretty bad. So how's it going? So I got a decision to make, right? I'll start off by saying that I have the opportunity to take a -4 here because I don't have a playing goalkeeper, and I also have a. Right now, I'd be playing Sufal, and I'm sure there are a lot of people in this situation where you have this. You have this decision whether you can basically do a -4 or play a bad option. And in general, I think it would probably be better to play the bad option if they can give you some points in the future, right? But it also gives you the chance to use a transfer. For example, I have Masuaku, and he may have lost his starting spot last game because they weren't playing the best, and then they switched formations, and he lost his place. So that's sort of what I'm considering Masuaku to some sort of good defender that may have a chance to get some points this week, because I really don't think Masuaku does. And yeah, still no graphics for the stream. I'll have to figure out how to do all that, but really I know nothing about this stuff. How's it going, Harveen and Obot and Afil? Yes, I will post my team now. I don't expect to make any changes, but who knows? Maybe something crazy happens. I don't assume there's been any major update on the Newcastle Aston Villa thing. I think I'll just type out my team on Twitter. How about that? I don't feel like taking a screenshot. But yeah, so the deal with defenders is, if we take a look here, if I was going to get rid of Masuaku, which I think is a good idea, but the issue is, who would I get this week for some instant chance at points? I only have the money to do certain things, but I do have some money. Masuaku is only 4.5, but we have some okay options. So Masuaku out, I have 5.7. And with 5.7, let me just go to Man City here. And the thing about Man City is, I don't know if these players are going to consistently play every week through Christmas break. And this is what I feel like maybe I can still get some points, considering I only have one player. I have Mahrez for Man City. If you're tripled up on them, obviously it's like a high upside strategy, but the thing is that if, as somebody that doesn't own a lot of them, I would hope that some of these players get benched over the next, over Christmas break. And, they're not as likely to play every game. Whereas you got players like Bruno and Salah, and even cheaper options like Calvert-Lewin and Grealish, and I don't know, Chilwell and Zuma. I would expect these guys to be able to play every week. And it's not really the same for Man City players. So I'll keep that in mind when I'm looking at options here, but I don't have enough money to get Mendy. So the way my team looks is I should just show it, but I feel like I would knock over the camera. So I have Martinez in goal and Peacock Farrell on the bench for goalkeepers. So obviously Martinez, he's really not, he's just not going to play. And Peacock Farrell, Pope is back. But Martinez, he's got 2 double game weeks in the bank now. So assuming the way things typically work with goalkeepers is that we keep them for a good amount of time. So, once I get him past this week and I get the 0-pointer, I'll kind of want him in my team because of those games in hand. I'm not exactly sure when they'll be played. And also the next 4 are not bad. So using a -4 on him, maybe not necessary. But I guess that's still an option. I don't really, because I would probably get in Meslier, but the thing is that they have a tough matchup this week. So I'm almost convinced it's just worth it to play just the 10 men. So my defense, so I have Martinez in goal. My defense is Chilwell, Zuma, and Justin. I feel like that's actually pretty solid. I hope to get some points there. The midfield is Salah, Jota, Fernandez captain, Mahrez vice captain, And then I have Kane, Calvert-Lewin, Watkins. Obviously, he won't play, but then Sufal will come in for sub. Then I've got Masuaku and Riedewald on the bench as well. So that's how I'm lined up for this season. For this season, that's the entire season. No, not really, but Mahrez versus Fernandez captaincy and vice captaincy is also a decision I have to make. So let me know what you think between those two, because you know, you may not know this. Well, if you were to guess, I want to see some guesses. If you were to guess, what is so Mahrez over excluding this season, right? Let's base this on the premise that we say, you know what, Man City just haven't been good this season, and now they're about to turn it around, right? They just beat 5-0 Burnley, and now they're about to make things look like usual, right? So assuming we all accept that, and I understand you may not. If you may not, then you may not even have a Man City player, which, to be fair, I don't think would be the craziest thing. I mean, if you know that I was like, I'm still not completely sold on a lot of them, but the upside is like really ridiculous. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. So the previous 2 seasons, Mahrez averages how many minutes per goal or assist does it take? Like, how many minutes does it take Mahrez to get a goal or assist on average over the previous 2 seasons, not including this one? So Salah averaged a goal or an assist, not including the season, every 97 minutes. And, well, Mahrez, every 90.69 minutes over the previous 2 seasons, he got a goal or assist. Like, that is so good. Exactly. Like, I would not have guessed that. But when you think about it, when he plays, he does well. He hasn't really got that much playing time in Man City, though. And I see some people saying that, oh, he's going to go cold, just like he just had one good game week. Why would you bring him in? I think that's enough reason right there. The fact that over 2 seasons, we get a large sample size. He's likely to get at least 1 return. I mean, it's Fulham at home as well. That's why I couldn't avoid him, and I didn't want to take the -8 to get rid of Bruno. So that's my thoughts on Mahrez in general. I don't think you have to look too in depth with it when you're averaging a return every 90 minutes over the previous 2 seasons, and then he looked good as well. So everything points to that potential for a real boost in form here, and that would be great. But geez, that's really making me want to captain him. But as of right now, I'm still captaining Bruno. Right backs do well against United sometimes. I'm not aware of that, but I could see how it makes sense. I mean, I feel like every position has a chance to do well against Manchester United, just because they're not necessarily the most consistent. What's up, Adam? How's it going there in Michigan? Grealish and Sterling to KDB and Jota for -4. Especially if you don't have a good starter to play instead of Grealish, I think I would definitely do that. Sterling out. I like Sterling out. I know some people are even considering, Sterling's gonna be he's gonna get a hat trick. I don't. I mean, I say it's there's a chance he starts over Ferran Torres or maybe Jesus. I don't think he should start, to be honest. I don't think he's been playing that well. If you have Sterling, it's a tough one because, I mean, you're looking at Fulham at home. When you click on him, you see Sterling, Fulham at home. How do I sell here? But I think going to KDB, if you don't have him, is just the safe option. But, there's also other options, I suppose. If you wanted to get more money, you could go down to Mahrez. But I don't think now is the time if you have the money to cheap out on avoiding KDB. But again, Mahrez, a goal or assist every 90 minutes. So, and this season it's been good as well. What does he have? 5 goals and 1 assist, and he's played 8 games, 9 games. That's not bad. Why not Vardy capped over Bruno? Well, I don't have Vardy, but Bruno, I'm basically just giving Bruno the Salah treatment like we usually do, especially I usually do with Salah. If I have him, it's a solid matchup, I'm captaining him. That's basically what I'm doing this week with Bruno, simply because, I mean, since he's been in the league, hasn't he been like, I mean, I know he's outscored Salah since he's been in the league, right? And I am worried about the West Ham matchup a little bit. I really am, because they haven't really got killed this season. And, that's something that I want to see in a captaincy option. I want their team to have the potential to kill somebody. Not literally, that came off weirdly, but you get the point. With the Man City game, or not the Man City game, with the West Ham Manchester United game, West Ham have lost 2-0 game week 1. Other than that, they haven't really conceded like 3+ goals, not even 2 goals that often. But they've had easy matchups recently. They've played Fulham, Sheffield United, and Aston Villa. All of those teams had chances to score more than they did, and they're also just not great teams. Aston Villa, obviously, I mean, if you watch the game, they could have scored so many more. But at the end of the day, I'm depending on the quality of Bruno Fernandes. I'm depending on his quality when he does get his couple of chances that he will get. I trust his quality to finish those chances. I trust that he will, create a chance too. He plays ambitiously, so he'll probably look to create a chance. At the end of the day, that's what I trust with Bruno, and Mahrez is definitely up there as well. If I had Vardy, I don't know, man. He's definitely an option. There's no doubt about it, because Sheffield United are bad, in case you didn't know. So, yeah, and also, I'm not worried about Ricardo Pereira. I don't think he plays this week. Maybe in the future, like if you're wild carding or making a transfer, I don't really think Justin's... I don't know if he's the best option to bring in, because if everybody's fit, it's questionable whether he starts or not. But I still think that he would have a chance to start at right center back, so they could play, assuming everybody's healthy. But, I mean, at least they've got so many injuries right now, you got to hope that one of their defenders stays hurt. So, because I would expect, left back Castagna, and then they have Evans, Soyuncu, and Fofana, that they could all play, even if they play a back 5, this is assuming they play a back 5 to give Justin the most spots possible. They had those 3 center backs that they can play, but if one of them's hurt, Justin will probably play right center back, in my opinion, and then the right wing back when Pereira's back will be Pereira. So that's what I would assume. So as long as there's one of those is out, and right now we've got a couple of those out, 3 actually, Soyuncu, Pereira, and Castagna out, then I would expect Justin to have a good chance of starting. It's still not guaranteed, because if they don't play the 5 at the back, then obviously he's not playing center back. But I don't think Pereira will be back this week, so it gives me time to play him in this good matchup. I think Justin's actually a good option. I think he has assist potential. I think we saw that last game as well. So I like Justin for this game week. Hold on, let me post my team on Twitter, because I know people want to know what team you're playing. In case you didn't know that, that's what people want to know. They want to know. They don't care. They don't care why. They don't know. They just want to know what's the team that you are playing. And that is what I shall provide. So Martinez, Chilwell, Zuma, Justin. But yeah, I like Justin this week. I hope they learn from last week. That's for sure. I don't really. My gut tells me to just not captain Salah this week, and that's so weird to say, but I don't really love the Salah pick for this week. Would you take Grealish back soon? Yeah, I certainly would. And hey, Undershot, how's it going? I would take Grealish back soon. I'm looking for it. I have the money. I could go Jota to Grealish. Not really wanting to do that, but maybe Riedewald to Grealish. I could just build up some more money, by downgrading elsewhere, and then I will probably switch to a 3-5-2 at some point, because there's so many valuable midfielders right now. I like the look of bringing Grealish in instead of, I don't know, Watkins. Obviously that takes some more money, but that's what I'm thinking right now. It will be the way to go. So yeah, Grealish back in soon, but I feel like I'm hoping anyway that missing the Wolves game with Aston Villa won't be that big of a loss. I think Aston Villa, I mean, look, I'm not a huge fan of Wolves right now. I don't think they're doing great, but I don't think Grealish will necessarily have a big haul against them. So Grealish back in soon for sure. He's one of the best options. It really sucks that I had to get rid of him this week. I did lose some value as well, but his price will probably go down tonight. So yeah, it's not as bad as it seems, and I got the Mahrez price rise. And sometimes I just gotta take the 1 week likely points with Mahrez here, and hope everything works out long term. Sometimes that's just the nature of FPL, which a lot of I mean it's tough sometimes because we get caught down in like looking for the perfect strategy, but sometimes we just have to admit that we don't really know. We don't really know what's going to happen, and I typically hate taking risks on players that I don't know are going to play, like rotation risks, because like you're basically making like such a statement. You're basically like, look, I'm so smart. I know this guy's going to score, and I know he's going to be worth it, even though he'll get benched sometimes. Like we don't really know that much about what's going to happen. Like it's so unpredictable that if somebody has a rotation risk, I'm generally just like, no, like I just want somebody on the field. They'll have a chance of scoring if they're just a striker rather than good but a rotation risk. Let me just post this team just so people are aware. Calvert Lewin. Let's see. So, are you thinking of captaining Mahrez? Yes, I definitely am. Mahrez is a great captaincy option. The thing I'm worried about, and the reason I'm not sold on captaining him, is that I'm worried that he'll be stuck out wide for too long. I'm worried that because tactics change week to week, and you can look at tactics from a previous game and like, oh, I think look, there's space right here. This team's always getting down this side of this team, and that one's actually okay, but sometimes getting too detailed and it's like, yeah, Mahrez was inside last week. He finished off a cross with his head. That's perfect if I'm a Mahrez captain. I want him in the box like that. But Pep can easily, obviously I think he's gonna start Mahrez, but he can still just change things up. He's like, all right, you know what, I want Mahrez to stay out wide this time, and I want him to like, just leave that space in the middle open for De Bruyne to like make runs into it. Instead of like, because a lot of times De Bruyne ends up drifting out wide and sending the crosses in. So, I mean, we don't really know. Mahrez could be stranded out wide all game. And the fact that I'm more like, I'm just more tactically confident behind Bruno, knowing that he's going to be in the middle getting chances and creating chances. It's hard to go away from that, but at the same time, if you ask me, I don't know if I'm sort of just swaying away from it because of like emotions are not right, because I don't want to pick Mahrez and then see him like not have a chance all game and then watch Bruno hopefully I'm not making that decision for that reason, because that's a poor reason, but because I just want to pick who's got the better chance to get more points, obviously. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Mahrez captaincy. I think it's obviously great. I might change. I might even change to Mahrez. My team. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's see what we got going on. Kyle Walker or Concello? I personally would take Kyle Walker all day. I don't think Concello will start. If you have Concello, I wouldn't say sell. I would say hope, probably. If you're on a wild card, no Concello for me. I think he'll get some time over the Christmas period, but I personally don't think Concello will start this week, but we don't know. We really don't know. But with him playing 90 minutes midweek, that's generally an indicator that he's less likely to start. And that's all I can say. I'm not here to try to predict who's going to start. If Concello does play, he'll be good. But I don't like the fact that he played 90 minutes. So I would expect him not to. That's the best guess we got. I think most people would agree with that. Do you think Leeds versus Chelsea will be a high-scoring game? So I've thought about this, obviously, because I have double Chelsea defense, and I'm playing both of them out of necessity, but I think Chelsea always have first of all, Chelsea always have a chance to keep a clean sheet in any game. But Leeds, I assume they will try to take control of the game, maybe through pressing. They'll try to like establish themselves as the dominant team, which could leave themselves open to like some vulnerabilities, counterattacking. If they don't do that, then it could be a much low scoring game. If they just like sort of sit back and like wait to counter. I don't really know what Leeds are going to do. I'm not going to even act like I'm like an expert on Leeds in any way, because I don't feel like I have a great understanding of them. So honestly, I don't know, but I feel like Chelsea will win the game like 3-1, 2-1, I would say. As in every game, it just depends on whether people finish their chances or not. So but with Leeds, I would expect them to put some pressure on the Chelsea center backs, like Zuma, and when they have the ball. So I don't know if that will lead to the ball going over the top of Leeds. I don't really know what to expect in terms of high scoring. It's definitely got that potential though, especially if Chelsea go up early and Leeds try to fight back. If Leeds go up early, then they could maybe really try to slow the game down because the more possessions are really being played in this game, Chelsea you would assume have the better chance because they have the better team and the better players. So I would expect if Chelsea score first, it could be like a 3-2 type of game. Maybe more, maybe 4. I mean, with Chelsea, they look great. My current prediction is Chelsea to win the league, I would say. Well, maybe not. Maybe not now that Man City are looking good and Liverpool, I don't know. Liverpool have a lot of injuries, though. Chelsea look good. I think Chelsea always have a chance to dominate the game with the team they currently have. Oh, you wanted Mahrez last week. That's a tough one. I mean, you can't really blame yourself for not really getting Mahrez exactly because you didn't trust Pep. I mean, that's going to be the case a lot of the season for a lot of Man City players. I mean, I did. You're asking me if you should go Grealish to Mahrez. That's exactly what I did. So obviously, I support that move. It does depend on your team, as everything does, but I think in general, it's a great move. But just be aware that you probably want Grealish back at sometimes. So who to start between Dallas and Kyle Walker-Peters? I'm forgetting who Southampton play. Oh, Southampton play Brighton. I would play Kyle Walker-Peters. It's just a better matchup. Dallas, he's got decent attacking threat, but me personally, I feel like Leeds, their attacking fullback potential is a little bit overrated, but maybe that's just me. I would personally go with Kyle Walker-Peters. Not saying he has more attacking threat, but the point is that I don't see points in the Chelsea game for Leeds defenders. So yeah, I would go with Kyle Walker-Peters. Let me get back to this message. So I have Bruno, Salah, KDB, Grealish, and Basuma. Should I do Grealish to Jota? Okay, well, I mean, you don't have the money to go Grealish to Mahrez, obviously. If you do, I would do Grealish to Mahrez. Grealish to Jota, I think, is fine. Jota plays his old team this week. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. A lot of people sort of make the claim that that's a good thing. I'm not sure if I would be that confident about it. It's probably just confirmation bias, right? We see a player score against his old team and oh, players love to score against their old teams. And then when it doesn't happen, when they blank, we just sort of ignore it. And the one that's more emotionally charged is the one we remember more, and we remember players scoring against their old teams. Anyway, I think Jota is a great option long term. I think going to Jota is a solid move. Yeah, I would go for it, especially if you're already interested in it. I'm not here to put you off of that at all. I have Jota. I like Jota. So long term, I think he'll keep playing most times too. I'm not too worried about rotation with him, and he's cheap. I mean, if he was $8 million, he would still be a good option, I think. So Jota, it's really great. If I was wildcarding, I would have Jota. There's no doubt about it. So the point is, I think he's good. Yeah. And if it goes wrong, it's one of those where you won't even feel bad if it goes wrong because I feel like it's that good of a pick. You're like, I made the right decision. So Nuclear Adams, good to see you. I still kept Grealish in starting 11. Do you think the fixture will get rescheduled? And when will it be rescheduled? I mean, yeah, maybe they could put it right back in this week. I don't expect it. And if they put it close, if the game's rescheduled midweek, for example, I would expect Fantasy Premier League to list that as a Game Week 12 option. The issue with that would be they would then be moving the Game Week deadline forward. And so it's do we want to add a game that people didn't know about that was going to happen? Or do we want to move the Game Week forward by half a week? Which one would be the most beneficial or the least destructive to because they're all about, they just want to get people to like their game and to play their game. So which one would be better if the game was rescheduled midweek? I don't know which one they would do. because moving the game week forward, you'd have like all the noobs that may miss the game week deadline, and if they sort of move the game week, if they move it to next game week, all the people that got rid of Grealish and Watkins would probably be kind of upset. But I think that would be the more noob friendly one. I don't know. I don't know which one they do for that, but I don't expect it to be rescheduled this game week. I don't really think there's been any indication of that happening. And considering there's a whole season left to go, if we just like me not being Ben Creelan or knowing much about like when they're likely to reschedule it, from what I heard, it's there's chances in the future too. So hopefully we'll have time to bring them back in, like when it fits our team, sort of. So, but there's a whole season left to go. I don't know. Are they going to reschedule it in Game Week 38? Is it possible? If so, it's not even it's not even really worth thinking about. That's so far in the future. So maybe I've already got rid of Grealish, so I hope that's the case. Thanks, Arvine. So Pathik, Vardy or DCL or Mahrez for captain this week. So I have DCL, Mahrez, and Bruno, 3 captaincy options myself. I'm going with Bruno. If I had those 3, though, I think I would go Mahrez. I think Mahrez is... I couldn't make myself captain Calvert-Lewin, I think, because of the other 2 options. I don't know. I mean, they're all not bad. I would go with Vardy or Mahrez, though. So with Vardy, you've got the penalties. You got the more talismanic approach. So if Leicester do well, then you get Vardy more likely to get returns. But if you get Mahrez, is like the complete opposite of that. It's a fantastic matchup and a fantastic team, but Man City can win 4-0 and Mahrez cannot do anything. So yeah, if you're confident in Leicester, be confident in Vardy. Other than that, I would say pick one. Right now, I would be leaning towards Mahrez. Dallas in midfield. Yeah, see, I told you I don't know anything about Leeds. Yeah, are they playing Alioski or something? I don't know anything about Dallas's attacking threat, as demonstrated by that. Hey Ollie, who would be, if I was this team, who would I captain? Vardy, Fernandez, or Salah? Well, right now my captain is Bruno, and I don't have Vardy, but I do have Salah. I think I would captain Bruno right now, but Bruno's not. I'm gonna just say Bruno's not like the captaincy, like the popular captaincy option. I'm going with him personally, but he's not the pop. So most people would disagree with me, but I think Bruno over those because I don't know, man. I trust, especially with Cavani now in the situation. Like if he does start, it looks good for Bruno because it's somebody that can finish Bruno's created chances and create chances for him even. If you watch the game, I mean, even the assist, but in general, Cavani's passing looked good. I mean, Cavani's a good player. He can finish. He's got the strength. He can head the ball. Obviously, he's tall, but he can pass well, and he's also he works hard defensively as well, which could be good for Manchester United, which is the complete opposite of Anthony Martial. Imagine Martial running back on defense. That'd be funny. Doing a slide tackle or something. Will Mape play or not? I have no idea. I really don't know. I can't even elaborate because I just don't know. Brighton are kind of hard to predict, and if he does play, I don't necessarily think he's the best option because Brighton, I don't know if they create the most chances. I understand the situation you're probably in with like the blank game week this week. You need somebody that's going to play. You don't want to have other players not playing that actually have a fixture. But I have no idea whether Mape plays or not. Hey, Hussein, yeah, good luck. There's going to need to be some good luck for a lot of teams this week. Do you think getting rid of Son for Mahrez will come back to haunt me? I currently own no City players. Well, let's talk about Tottenham's fixtures then, because I still have Kane, and I like the look of him. I didn't really think about if I would do that or not. So, Son, they play Arsenal and Crystal Palace next. Those are 2 good matchups in my opinion. Arsenal are probably they're in the bottom half of like for worst worst teams in terms of expected goals conceded. They concede a lot of chances, and a lot of this is going to depend on how you evaluate Tottenham's ability to create chances. So let's say they, because over the last couple, the reason I say this is they scored 1 goal against West Brom, 2 against Man City, and then 0 against Chelsea. So the 1 against West Brom and 2 against Man City potentially indicates, well, first of all, they just finished their chances well against Man City. They didn't create that many. Let's get it out of the way. So, but that's something you get with Tottenham, and especially Son. He's a great finisher of the ball. And by the way, he's probably got the best weak foot in the league, weak foot finishing. I would say even relative to his own right foot finishing, that may be the case. You could argue for Greenwood or, I mean, Richarlison's up there. I mean, but Son is like number 1 for weak foot. But anyway, that's another story. But they've played some tough matchups recently. But let's just not avoid the fact that Tottenham have simply been really good this season. Their expected goals is pretty high, and Son's a great finisher. In the next 2, you could realistically keep Son. You don't have to buy into the Man City hype. But, I mean, you should just be aware of that. Basically, if you have a transfer to make elsewhere, like maybe another way to get in a Man City player, I would try to do that. But I would understand if you also sold Son because of the Man City upside. I would personally look for a way to avoid it. You know, I mean, because that's what I did. I avoided, I've avoided getting rid of Kane for these next 2 fixtures, like, because I've like, okay, I can deal with this other thing, and then I'll get Kane against Arsenal and Crystal Palace, and I quite like that. But then they do play Liverpool, Leicester, and Wolves after that. So, Kane, for the next 2, I'm keeping him, and then after that, I may sell. I'll see what's going on there. Liverpool may not be the best defensively either, and we saw Tottenham, as I said, they beat Man City, a big team. Maybe the countering style suits them. I feel like in every game you're going to be able to justify keeping Kane or Son or even both. So just, I don't know, just prepare for that being the case always. And they could be season holds. I mean, if you kept them for the whole season, assuming no injuries and no terrible form, I feel like it would be okay at least. But Son, when he plays 90 minutes regularly, he's always a good FPL option for me. I don't have him, but there's a lot of great options in midfield. I feel like I can't give you a definite answer. That's the thing about getting questions, is that like obviously you guys are asking, you ask tough questions all the time, so it's always like I mean, I don't really know for sure, but this is the best option to have. But yeah, it's a tough one. A lot of them are tough. Would you do Click and Kane to Bamford KDB? Currently starting Son, Bruno, and Click. Would probably need another -4 next game for Salah, though. Maybe not with Salah. You could try to hold off as long as possible, because, like I said, there's some good midfield options out there. So, I mean, you still have Click, I see. Didn't Click, like, he was, like, really close to getting a return last week, or at least maybe he did. Again, apparently what we're learning is I know nothing about Leeds. But, so you still have the Click situation. Would you do Click and Kane to Bamford and KDB? That sounds good. I know you're getting rid of Kane, but if you bring in KDB and like that, if you need the captaincy option, that may be the way to go. But you're still getting rid of Kane, so in that sense, I would consider it a dirty transfer where they have a chance to get points. And so I'm not the hugest fan of it, but I'm trying to think of. Obviously, the upside of that is you get rid of Click and you're turning him into a valuable option instead of like a, I don't know, under 6 million mid. So I know why you're like changing things around so you can actually get value out of that person. So I think that's a solid long term. I do like that move over Christmas, but initially over the next 2 because of Kane's fixtures, it may look bad, but I think that's fair enough. I know I just said to get rid of Kane, but I wouldn't mind doing that. Obviously, just watch the Tottenham games to be scared, because you would deserve to be scared. But the one thing I will say that makes that transfer better is that I don't necessarily think Kane has like super high upside where maybe against Arsenal he does though. But against Crystal Palace, like, because Tottenham did show some struggles to break down teams that sat deep, I think a Kane hat trick, I'm not personally expecting anything like that. I'm just expecting him to take over with the returns. But that's just what I'm thinking. No goalkeeper transfers so far, I feel. I think I'm just going to leave it how it is and just hope for the best. I don't want to make any late changes that end up being terrible. It sucks playing Soufal this week. I wish there was like an obvious option. I really don't want to go with a Man City defender because I can't afford Kyle Walker. He's expensive anyway, but just the rotation there. I mean, even okay, Diaz may start every week. The thing I'm worried about Mendy because I'm worried that they're gonna catch us off guard and go like play. You know, they could play Eric Garcia at center back. They play Stones at center back, and then they could move Laporte or Ake to left back. Like I don't know. I'm just worried about the left back options there to get Mendy long term. This week, I think Mendy will probably play. Or just click to Jota for Adam for your situation. Okay, if you have the money to do that, it's less high upside. If you need the captaincy option still, like over the next couple of weeks, I would still understand. I mean, they're both fine. I don't really have a strong opinion either way. I think either way, get rid of click. I would do that either way. That's like the main thing that's positive here. So the other moves I wouldn't say aren't really necessary, and because it's a -4, I don't know. I mean, I know you're gonna want KDB, but I think it's possible Kane could keep up with KDB over the next two. So I think for now I would do click to Jota. Whenever I don't know, I just err on the side of like I'm just gonna not take the hit. So that's like fair enough, because like the reason why I would say that is because of injuries and stuff. So let's say either way your player gets hurt, whether you have Kane or KDB like as the big hitter. If you do the -4 and your player gets 1 point, then you just got -3. If you didn't do the -4 and your player gets a long-term injury, you got 1. So you won by 4 points. And like random benchings and stuff like that. So it just with like the terrible variance of things, the -4. I mean, there's no genius take there, but I would probably keep if I was in your situation. I'm not saying that's the best thing to do, but it's what I would do. So should I captain Mane, Zaya? That's his name. That's what happens when you put Zaha and Ziyech together. So would you captain them two, Kane or Mane? I would not captain Mane personally. Don't personally love him with the Salah Jota combination there, but he's always like a good option to get points. Don't get me wrong. I think I would go Kane or Zaha. I don't love Ziyech because I don't think he has the goal threat. He spends too much time out wide. He's probably had one shot in the box. I haven't looked since last game, so I don't know. But in his first 2 game weeks, even when he had the good game against Burnley for FPL points, he's not like getting a bunch of chances in the box. He's not that kind of player. He's more of like you're hoping for 2 assists with him, really, if you captain him, which is something he can do, and he can score too. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like the same. It's not the same level of goal threat as you'll get with some players. So I don't personally love Ziyech captaincy option. I would go for Zaha or Kane. Zaha is like differential because a lot of people got rid of him. That's not why he's good though. He's good because he plays West Brom, and West Brom is a great matchup. And Kane, a worse matchup, but on a more reliable team. He'll definitely be involved where he can get returns if he finishes chances or the people he passed to finish his chances. But I would say Zaha probably has higher upside. I don't mind the Zaha captaincy this week at all, really. I wouldn't be afraid of it just because it's like a uncommon pick. I like Zaha this week. He'll be back, but I would go Kane. At the end, I would go Kane because Zaha's just coming back from COVID, and maybe he's more tired. Maybe they benched him at first. Maybe they take him off. I would be worried about things like that personally. I would be happy enough just having Zaha and knowing that that this guy plays West Brom. But because there's some uncertainty there, I would go Kane. But given that there's like injury to Kane apparently, so I still think I would go Kane and just hope that Mourinho is bluffing with his whole, oh, I think he's injured or whatever. So how long are Newcastle and Villa players going to be not playing fantasy-wise? This is 1 week. This 1 week they'll be out. Newcastle, I guess there's the potential for things to go wrong further, but I would really expect them to be back next week. They'll be able to take care of that with testing. We'll get positive and negative tests. Newcastle should be fine. It should be a just this week thing. These things will happen occasionally throughout the season, maybe, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. Yeah, 4 players from those 2 teams is a lot, but it makes them better long-term options because they get that double game week. So I would probably get rid of one of them so you get the 11 or 10 if you don't have a goalkeeper or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I would get rid of maybe one if you need the points right now. But long term, there's still fine options, so I wouldn't be too worried about selling all of them. Keep James for this game week. Burnley, a potentially good fixture. I think if I had him, I would play him. I think I would keep him. Again, there's a lot of midfield options, but I would just err on the side of keeping the players you have. I don't love him, but for this matchup, it's pretty good. Should I vice captain Mane, Zaha, Ziyech, or Kane? The way I actually do it, like, even though I said Zaha and Kane are the best options, the way I typically do it is I just captain the best option and then I vice captain somebody that I know will play, unless I'm like absolutely certain the captain's gonna play, like with Bruno right now. So I would vice captain whichever one you think is gonna play the most. So probably Mane, just because I don't want to I don't think I've really ever won a week where both didn't play, and I want that to continue to be the case. At least get me something and step on the field. That way you have a chance. Yeah, good luck, Harveen. Might do Farron in for Grealish. Have a feeling Pep might play with an attacking forward, put KDB deep. That's actually very possible, and that is what we saw like when Leicester beat Man City emphatically, by the way, which was fun to watch. That's exactly what happened. Super deep line. They couldn't create anything, so De Bruyne dropped deeper to create chances. That's one reason why of course, I'm always afraid of De Bruyne when I don't have him, but I'm not desperate to get him in for that reason. Sometimes he comes deeper and he plays almost like a number 8 or even deeper than that sometimes it looks like. And that harms his goal-scoring threat. Of course, he's always on penalties and he's always creative no matter where he's at on the field, but sometimes that will happen with KDB, and that's why I'm not desperate to get him in. And yeah, that's a good point. Mahrez, good captain, yes. Mahrez or Bruno as captaincy. Right now, I'm still on Bruno, I gotta say, but it's still like in the back of my mind. I'm like, I think I'm just gonna stick with Bruno until he blinks, to be honest. Besides for the Man City game week, that's sort of in the back of my mind. I mean, I did it with Vardy last season. It worked very well. I think I might just Bruno until he blinks. Besides the Man City game, I'll throw that Man City caveat in there. Yeah, no problem, Jake. Thoughts on Welbeck? So Welbeck's actually, if you're if you're really short on cash, obviously there's nobody cheaper than like the 5 point. Like Adams is like the cheapest of like, I don't know, the commonly owned players that people consider good FPL options. And then you got Welbeck. Now Welbeck's a rotation risk because they could always just play, I don't know, Trossard, Mape, whoever. They could always just bench Welbeck. But when he plays, I think he's a solid option. He's not on a great team. He's cheap. You're not getting a great player. But with the Christmas period, I would be worried about rotation. The real answer is that we just don't really know because we haven't seen like a high sample size of the guy. So we don't know, but I guess my answer is this. I wouldn't necessarily use a transfer to bring him in because of that uncertainty. But if I was wildcarding or something like that, maybe he makes an appearance. Fernandes or Kane? I'm going to go Bruno. A lot of cabinets. Mahrez, DCL, Fernandes. Earlier I said Fernandes. Fernandes or Mahrez, I would say flip a coin between Fernandes and Mahrez. As the stream goes on, I'm like, you know what? I could really captain Mahrez, but I like both of them. I think Mahrez has a higher upside, though. But there's just, I don't know, maybe it's Pep Roulette I'm scared of, actually. I'm not sure. The reason I'm not captaining Mahrez, I sort of mentioned it earlier. I'm worried about him being stuck out wide too much, and who knows what Pep's going to do tactically. We could see him be subbed off. All these things just aren't the case for Bruno. I know Bruno's not as high upside. It's almost like I don't know, it's almost boring captaining Bruno at this point. But Bruno, he always has a chance for lucky penalties. If Manchester United do well, which is a big if, I understand that, then you would expect Bruno to do well. That's sort of why I'm captaining Bruno, because it's, I don't know. But Mahrez is great. There's no doubt about it. I brought him in, so it's Davey P. Yeah, good luck, Davey. Oh, Davey, are you catching Boona if you're still here? I want to know how that's going, because the other day I was like, how is that going? Because I know, like, the one time where I came in and just basically roasted you both, I expected you to catch up to Boona because of, the way he was taking hits and everything, but they were working out. So, are you actually catching Buna? Is Kane playing? I expect Kane to play, but we won't know for sure. What do I think of Tammy Abraham for 1 week punt? There's always the risk he won't play, but I think that he should start. You got to be worried though because Giroud got that hat trick midweek. I think Tamlin probably starts, and I think for that reason he's a good option. But it's obviously risky. I personally like it though. Rashford and Calvert-Lewin for either KDB, Welbeck, Jesus, and Jota. Well, I like the idea that you're trying to get rid of Rashford because I would be doing the same thing. Calvert-Lewin, you don't necessarily have to get rid of him this week, and even like I know Rashford's got the injury. I think he may play. For this week, it's not a terrible matchup, but Rashford can't finish. I mean, have you seen his 1v1s besides Champions League? I'm not talking about Champions League Rashford. It's a different story, but in the Premier League, Rashford can't finish. I think KDB and Welbeck or Jesus and Jota. Oh man, I would have to go for Jesus and Jota out of those two because I would try to avoid Welbeck if I could, and it gives you better price points to work with for the future. More flexibility, I would say. Only 4 minutes left. Am I right about that? 4 minutes left. So I guess I'm just at this point. I'm not gonna make a transfer, am I? Let me just look at these fixtures real quick. What transfer could I possibly make? Because I'm playing Sufal this week. Captaining Bruno over Mahrez? What am I doing? Why would I look at Man City, Fulham home, and be like, you know what? You get the vice captain, buddy. That's what you get. Why would I do that to myself? I don't know. Maybe I comfort myself by saying Mahrez is 9.9% owned. I mean, that's pretty low. That's pretty low, considering how good of an option he is this week. Oof. Mahrez is a very good player, by the way. That's one reason I brought him in. Pro tip: bring in good players for your FPL team. I need to bring in striker. Who do you think is the best option? Max 8.7 budget. So there's not a lot like from 8.7 to 8, and then you go down. Is it just 1 week? Is that that's right. You were gonna take a punt on Abraham. There's not much time. I mean, who is there? There's really not any great options. This is one reason I'm interested in a 3-5-2. But if you're gonna go for that price point, obviously you can't get Jimenez, you can't get Ings. I think you would have to go cheap, and you'd have to go for somebody like Bamford, unless you really want to take the risk on Cavani. But I think over Christmas period, I don't think he's going to start every game. He'll get playing time. He's a good player, but it's just a little bit too early for the Cavani move. I could have made it myself. I could have done Watkins to Cavani, but with the Man City options, obviously it's not really necessary to take that risk. But yeah, Mahrez. I mean, Bruno's in form too. Yeah, I mean, Bruno and Mahrez are in form. Bruno's been in form for I don't know how long now. Ever since he got in the league, he's been in form. That's why I'm captaining him. That's a definition of a form pick. West Ham have defended well though. Don't concede a lot of goals, that's for sure. But I don't know, man. I'm sticking with my gut of Bruno here. It's not gonna. Hey, I got it in Mahrez. All right, if he does well, my transfer ended well. That's how I'm framing it. So would you say Ziyech is a good vice captain because of his assist potential, and he's also sort of nailed? Yeah, if you think Ziyech is nailed, I would go with that. I'm just always worried about Chelsea rotation because of the wingers they have, but I think Ziyech is pretty much nailed now because he's played like every game since he's been uninjured or uncovided, whatever. Oh, he was injured. Yeah, that's right. I'm captaining Bruno, as has been well documented. It's highly contested. It's highly contested. The issue with Tammy is, like, back to the forward, is longer term. You're probably going to have to get rid of him. But you could bring in Watkins, so, it's probably not the smartest idea to tell people to bring in Watkins after last game week. But should I bring in Mahrez for Grealish? Yeah, sure. You got a minute to do it, though. You got a minute to do it. I think it's a good move. That's what I did. So, yeah. Ended up going through with the Son to Mahrez transfer. Okay, yeah, you got something else out of it. Yeah. Slice out is definitely, yeah. Jeez, Alan, you're behind on getting rid of Slice. Train left a while back. But, Yeah, those two Man City players, I would say, even though Mahrez, a lot of people consider him a rotation risk, I would say those two pretty solid for starting most game weeks. 559, and I have not made a transfer. We're gonna roll with Sufal. Sufal is my insurance. If Manchester United do nothing and Bruno blanks, guess what? I may get a Sufal clean sheet. How nice is that? A little insurance on my captaincy there. So explain my Mahrez decision. I assume you mean like why I brought in Mahrez for Grealish. Oh, you would have been playing with 9 men if you didn't. Okay, yeah. I think Grealish to Mahrez short term is great. Short term for this week. And the thing is, like next week, it doesn't really hurt you because, well, I won't say that. Grealish is a great option. I hate getting rid of Grealish personally, but for this 1 week, I mean, obviously I've got confidence in Mahrez, but not enough to captain him. So, but I think that's just a safe thing with Bruno. I feel safe with him in my little safe zone there with Bruno. But so explaining Mahrez's decision. Deadline is hit, by the way. Good luck, everybody. I mean, they've been like updating the site late the last couple of times. You could probably still change your team. Yep, it's it's past the deadline. You can still go in and change your team if you want. It'll probably close pretty soon though. So Mahrez, I brought him in because, as I said, this guy has established a goals and assists per 90 minutes of 90 minutes. Like every 90 minutes he gets a goal or assist over, not including the season. That's over the past 2 seasons, the previous 2 seasons. So I don't know. And side note, I feel like people underrate that side of him. Like, I don't know. When he plays, he's pretty good. Like, it's not, I don't know. Anyway, that's another story. Mahrez is a good player. That helps. I think he can finish his chances. I think he can dribble well. He can create something. Regardless of what tactic he's placed in, he will create something, I feel like. Even if he's stuck out wide, he will have that assist potential. So, yes. So there's that. Now, getting rid of Grealish is tough, but for this week, I was going to have to play 2 West Ham defenders. I already have my goalkeeper blanking. I just wanted another attacking threat this week. I think Mahrez can sustain his starting status over the Christmas period. Mahrez, wait, where was I going with that? Oh my gosh. So Mahrez. Grealish. So I can bring in Grealish and get rid of somebody else besides Mahrez, right? So I'm planning on keeping Mahrez long term, maybe getting rid of Riedewald or somebody else and changing to a 3-5-2, getting rid of Watkins, bring in Grealish in the midfield. The point is that I think that I want Grealish long term, but I can afford to go without him for the next 2 weeks. Yes, Mahrez has a tough matchup next week, but after that they play West Brom and they have a bunch of good fixtures, so I want at least one Man City player. That's not the best way to look at it, right? Like, a lot of people love that idea, and I do too, especially with like clean sheets and defenses. But just because a team do well doesn't necessarily mean a player does well. In the Bruno case or like a talisman case, it's different. Like, you could argue that for De Bruyne, but when you're dealing with like Mahrez, who's not necessarily proven that ability to always do well with the team, it's not necessarily the same. But the fact that when he plays, he does well, and they have good fixtures, and he's likely to play. Like, knowing Mahrez will probably start most games is enough for me to really consider him an option from the first place. They play Fulham this week. I want some immediate points. I'm going with Mahrez. Ooh, I almost fell. I'm going with Mahrez and hoping he can get me some points. It's really a short-term transfer for now, but then when I get Grealish back in, I get the long-term as well. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Deadline is hit. I'll probably keep going for like 7 more minutes till 6:10. Then after that, my laptop will just die. But no. Davey. Oh yeah, that's right. Buna's played 2 chips, so you may actually catch up with him. Yeah, what a weird. I feel like Buna has like really good successes, but he also has some really bad fails. So who knows? Maybe you'll catch him. The good thing is, if you do beat Buna, you can just inject it so much. You can just inject it, like, you can just message him and just be injecting all day. Like, I don't know, the final game week, you pass Buna, you're just injecting all over him. Um, maybe you can catch me by spring. No. No. Did you ever try to win the FPL Cup? No, I've never. One time I probably won 7 games. I think that was like the last season, maybe, because I was doing really well around that point. Or maybe that was the season that finished 50th. But no, I just hope the EPL Cup goes my way. I don't really make transfers to like really try to win in it, because you need so much luck. Even if you do well, you just play one person who has a big week. Maybe it's a dead team and they have a Aguero captain. He comes back just for that week, gets a hat trick, gets injured again. Well, that team just beat you, and then they lost in the next round. But that's just the way it goes with that cup. They probably could do something different with it, like to make it more hands-on. Like, I've heard the idea of the cup being separate and you just sort of play a free hit every week. You just change your team every week for the cup. It's like a separate competition. It's not your actual team. And I think that would be fun. I think it would probably get less interactions because of like dead teams and stuff. But I mean, I'm a fan of that. I think it'd be more fun just because like I would actually make changes to make that team better. So right away that would like makes me care. I mean, I would love to win the cup, of course, but even if I made it really far in the cup, I would still be like, I'm gonna lose soon, like, because it just takes so much. But yeah, it would be different if I was like making changes constantly to the cup team. If there was like a separate cup team, that would be cool. A free hit cup team, something like that would be cool. Yeah, good luck this week. We're gonna need a lot of. I feel good that I didn't take a hit this week, to be honest. So I'm looking at 10 players, unless Pope gets hurt, Peacock Farrell comes in. But Soufal off the bench, Mahrez vice captain. Fernandez captain, Bruno captain again. I feel like I played it pretty safe here, and Soufal will play. He will start, so I have a chance at points. I didn't do a -4 to bring somebody in where I need them to get a return to outscore Soufal. I'm just gonna take the chance and hope Soufal gets forward and gets an assist. He has had a shot on target pretty recently, so decent possibility there. It's not like I'm playing, I don't know, Jack Cork. Who else could I say that just never does anything? Fernandinho. I'm playing somebody that's actually going to do something in terms of he may put one cross in, all of a sudden you have a chance for an assist. Every player doesn't put a cross in. Fun fact. Hey, Elite FPL, how are you doing? Santo Fernandez thoughts? I mean, obviously I love Bruno right now. I've captained him. This is the 3rd week in a row for Bruno. I think Bruno is a must-have. I mean, okay, nobody's essential, especially with the options we have at midfield. You don't have to have Bruno, but Bruno's a great option. Son to Bruno, it's risky because it's kind of a dirty transfer where you got Son can get some points even though you just got rid of him, because he's got Arsenal and Crystal Palace next. So I don't know if it's necessarily worth a transfer to do it, but Bruno over Son for me. Bruno's a better option than Son, so. You want to get a better option, so you get Brian Bruno. But I don't know, man. I like it. I like long term for sure. Bruno is the way to go for me. Bruno is the way to go. As long as Manchester United can just score 2 goals, he'll probably get a return. Last season in FPL Cup, you reached the 6th round. Fell short of 5 points. I don't know, man. I don't know what all this talk is of of going after the cup. I would never go after the cup. Doesn't going after the cup hurt your overall rank? Like, that's the reason I wouldn't do it, because like you've got to make short-term decisions and hope. I mean, either way, you're still balancing short-term and long-term, I suppose. But I don't know, man. You're going for the cup of FPL. You're breaking all the rules there. Nobody does that. Calvert-Lewin to Wilson next round. I think that's okay, because I am interested in getting rid of Calvert-Lewin's. I brought him in at 7 million. I had him in Gameweek 1, but the reason I would want to get rid of him is fixtures. And one thing that we'll mention here is that people, like, obviously fixtures are important, but people forget the importance of fixtures once form has arrived. So basically, what I'm saying is people overrate form and underrate fixtures, because Calvert-Lewin did well. Like, okay, beginning of the season, people will want Everton players: Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, James, Digne. People want those players. You know why? Because they have good fixtures. And then obviously, most of those players, or pretty much all of them, did at least okay because of their good fixtures. They performed well because of their good fixtures. And then people are like, oh, they're in great form. And they are. That's true. And, we do have to assess how they did against, like, the tougher teams and see if that can continue even with tougher fixtures. But at the end of the day, you got them for good fixtures. They did well in their good fixtures. And I think that's dependent on the fixtures. Like, let's not act like they're fixture proof now. Even though they've done well for a long time, that's mainly in easy fixtures that they've done that. And I still think Calvert-Lewin's a good option because I do like Everton as a whole. I like the way Calvert-Lewin is in that system. The fact that he's like literally what I look for in an FPL striker, because he doesn't drift away. Like, Kane isn't really, because he drifts away from the box and he relies on his creativity to, like, create chances and stuff. Obviously, assists are less than goals, which sucks, but he's also on penalties, so he has that going for him. But anyway, if Calvert-Lewin was on penalties, that may be another story. Which, who knows, maybe he'll start taking them one day. Like, I don't know if his teammates want him to win the Golden Boot. I think it's not, like, completely out of the picture, but Richarlison is, I don't see him giving that up because I think he really wants to score. It's not like it's like a random midfielder type of person. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so for me, Calvert-Lewin out is probably going to be something that will happen. I think that's something that will happen for a lot of people. Yeah, I think Bouna, I don't know if Bouna would retire in that case. Maybe he would. I don't think he ever would. But you yourself know about what it's like to retire, so maybe I should defer to you. Man, I couldn't bring myself to bringing in KDB yet. I couldn't either. It takes a lot to bring in KDB right now. Like, especially because you can have Salah, you can have Bruno. Salah and Bruno, you could argue that they're better than KDB. I know KDB plays for Man City, and everybody loves that, as they should. But Bruno and Salah are more talismanic for their teams. I feel like they would probably get a higher percentage of the returns when their team do score, even if that is less. So it just depends on which way you want to look at it. But the only downside for KDB that I could say, because he's on penalties now, like, he's just he's too good, and it sucks that I don't have him. I have Kane instead, though, so I guess that's what I'm hoping. Who outscores him? Because Salah and Bruno are nailed on. But the thing about KDB is that, if Pep changes the tactics, sometimes he plays deeper. So he has that sort of, I don't want to say it's an Achilles heel, but he has that where us non-KDB owners have that hope that he can always blink because he's playing deep and just sending in crosses. He could still get the assists and he could still get the penalty, but he's not like getting in the box and shooting a bunch. But I personally think that against Fulham, I think he'll get his chances on target. And again, the great thing about KDB is that he's a good player and he's a good finisher. So when he does get his chances, he'll score them. It's always important to get good players when you're playing Fantasy Premier League. Second fun tip of the day. Replacement for Concello, I have Chilwell, Dallas, Kilman, and Ferguson. I like how you spelled Concello as it's pronounced. Made it easy. Chilwell, Dallas, Kilman, and Ferguson. Well, I do think, by the way, I probably would have made the transfer before the deadline. I'm sure you had other things to do, though, but I think replacing Concello is a solid option. Obviously, against Manchester United, you're going to want to do that, and the fact that he won't play a lot, I don't think. So Concello, 5 point something. Okay, let's look at Chelsea's fixture. This will probably be the last thing I do. I can't look at the fixtures right now. It's updating. I think another Chelsea defender, you could go with Reece James. He's got attacking potential. He's also got Chelsea's defense. Chelsea defend well, in case you didn't know. So Chelsea, best defense in the league right now. Even if the fixtures aren't perfect, I think Reece James isn't a bad pick there. I think nobody would ever say that you're going wrong with going from Concello to Reece James. Who are the other options at this price? If you go Kyle Walker, if you had the money, but You could argue that Reece James is just as good. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Who do we have? I mean, um, I think the standout option is Reece James. I like the Chelsea double up. I personally have it. I sort of wish I didn't have Zuma and I had James instead. But there's some decent options out there. I wouldn't really go Manchester United. A lot of the Man City guys I'm worried about rotation with. Liverpool aren't really interesting. I think if you're looking big team, if you're looking like the same price range than Chelsea, if not, then maybe you go down to another Leeds maybe just because of the fixtures. I don't love Leeds defense, but the fixtures are great, and so I would probably go with Leeds or Chelsea. I think I haven't had a Leeds player all year, have I? No. Last year I went all season without owning Newcastle, so maybe I'll do the same with maybe I'll do the same. Oh, you have Mindy and goal. Oh, that's fine. I mean, unless you have already have 3 Chelsea players, Chelsea triple up defensively is fine. I mean, you just have to consider when are you ever really going to get a Chelsea attacker. Um, I understand Chelsea score a lot of goals. What was I gonna? Oh yeah, but doesn't necessarily mean there's a great attacking option out there. I think Ziyech lacks goal threat. Werner's good, but he's kind of too expensive for in my opinion. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so Abraham's not gonna start, and so with those 3 it's tough. But Pulisic coming back is interesting because that gives you somebody that you may be scared of. But there's plenty of options at midfield. I would be perfectly fine with the Chelsea triple up. I like it. I mean, you can't always have everybody as somebody you're gonna get in. Like, oh, I don't want to triple up, because you could do the same thing with Pulisic. Because people say, oh, don't triple up defensively, don't triple up in some sort of way, because then you can't get this other player they have in. But then if you get the other player you have in, then you can't get the other. You could just do that regardless of your triple up. You could just always say, oh, but then you can't get the other player in. Well, of course not. Tripling up has its lacks of flexibility. Just the way it goes, though. Hey, Penguin, how's it going? Yeah, Nuclear Atoms. So, I think I did see that. It may, and thank you for that. I think, because, first of all, I drove, I mean, in terms of driving time, it was 16 hours, I would say. I drove 16 hours the day 2 days ago and yesterday, over those 2 days overnight. So I was doing that. But that was, obviously this is Monday. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I probably didn't respond. Will fans make a difference to Salah's performance? I don't really think so at this point. I feel I don't know, it'll change everybody's performance. But the thing is that we don't really know how, and they've gotten used to having no fans now, so that's why I would say it may change performance a little bit. But it also may be minor because there's so few. I'm not really sure. I wouldn't expect a big difference there, considering we don't know how. You just assume that everybody's going to react. Everybody has equal chance of reacting, good or bad. So it could impact, but we don't know how. Should I go with Antonio? Yeah, because there's really no great options there. You have Bamford, but Antonio is good. I would be worried about injuries for the future. We'll just see how it goes with Antonio. West Ham haven't impressed me too much in terms of, I don't know if they'll be able to keep it up in terms of their good performances. I know they look good in a lot of ways, but I don't know if they're going to be able to keep it up. I really don't trust them. But yeah, I'm actually in my last week or so, probably in a week. Yeah, in a week, last week of college, I get my bachelor's degree in psychology, as long as I don't mess everything up, of course. Because I think if I just did nothing, I would fail at least one class. But I have some big tests to take and all that, so got to make sure I get that stuff right. I can't guarantee a lot of videos over today and tomorrow and Monday until noon, especially. I'm gonna be doing so much work because I gotta write 2 papers in that time. But I think it's fine. I got it all in my head. I know what I'm gonna write. Well, not really. I know 2 things I'm gonna write. So I hope that goes well. But yeah, hopefully I'll have more live streams in the future. I'm thinking about throwing some graphics in there. But yeah, anyway, like I was saying, so I don't know. I'll get videos out though. I should be able to get videos out. I'm back where there's speedy internet now, so that makes things better. But yeah, my final week of college is like, I can't mess it up now. All the times where things happen where I could have messed it up and then I procrastinated and then I end up doing really well and getting 100. I can't let that go to waste now. I have to do these things, and I'm not playing weekend league for that reason this week. What a shame, man. I had to miss out on weekend league, but nah. Game's kind of garbage anyway, too much luck involved. Anyway, yeah, good luck, Penguin. No problem, Nuclear. Martinez to Mendy, I think that's fine. I mean, a lot of money in goalkeeper there, but I like the combination of like Mendy and then Chilwell or Reece James. I think that's good, especially long term. You can just hold them and not really worry about it. Every week you got a chance at a clean sheet. Mendy's not going to be dropped. He's a good player. A little expensive for a goalkeeper. I think, I don't know. I don't know if I would do it personally because, I mean, if you're going to have double Chelsea, I think you do it in the field. I think you go Reece James and Chilwell, but of course, it's not that easy because we don't wildcard every week, so you got to make a move dependent on your team. And with the Martinez blank, that gives you the reason right there. And that's just how it goes. You end up getting a player that you're like, I like other options better, but I got to get rid of my poor options. And I think that's Cresswell to James, yeah. Cresswell, he's gotten us, the West Ham defenders have gotten us some points, but I don't expect it to keep up much longer. They do have some decent long-term fixtures, ones where we could play him in, rotate him in and out, but yeah, Reece James looks a good option. Yeah, that's just how it goes. Getting rid of poor players is probably more important than like really focusing on bringing in the best of the best players, and that's just because like I don't know, because we have to admit that anything can really happen in the game. So if you just target, this player is just so great this week, he's the best option. He's still, in terms of probability, I would say, I mean, of course, it's all situational, but he's still marginally better than like bringing somebody else in, and then you've got like long-term fixture swings and stuff. At the end of the day, if you got a problem in your team, that's probably the first thing you need to get rid of, instead of focusing on like ignoring a problem and like upgrading somebody you could keep to somebody that's like really good. It's probably better to just take care of like the real issue in your team. That way you avoid like things like playing with 10 people in a non-playing game week, especially, or just playing somebody where like you're like, this guy's not gonna get any points. Like, I don't know, you want everybody to have a chance at getting points. So yeah, I don't know, but dealing with the fires in your team leads to weird built teams where even though you want like one arrangement of players, you get like the same thing in another way. So you may get a Chelsea goalkeeper instead of the defender you want, or whatever the case may be. And that's the thing about FPL is like every decision is team dependent. It's hard to really come up with an optimal strategy that fits everybody for that reason. Anyway, last season it felt harder to keep myself inside the 100K than reaching the 100K. What should I do when I reach it this time? I wouldn't change anything, especially at this point in the season. If you're doing well, I would try. I mean, it's hard to not change anything. Like everything, like anything that impacts your mood or your confidence in the way you're playing FPL, it's going to impact how you play a little bit. I would assume confidence makes you better, but who knows? Maybe it also like makes you take too many risks or something. It's whatever you've analyzed in your own play, but what would I do? I would just try to keep it the same. I would try to play the same no matter what your rank is, maybe regardless of like the last like 5 weeks or so. If you really want to win a mini league or something, or if you're winning FPL by 50 points, then don't take a big hit, but in general, I sort of save like changing real strategy, like the risk versus like safe strategy. I sort of just like save that for extreme cases. Other than that, I just try to get the most points. Let other people take all the dumb differentials, and I'll just take the guys that I think are going to get points, and I'll move along with my life. If you had Son, would you have transferred him out by now? Well, I did have Son. I started off with him. I got rid of him when I thought he was hurt for the Manchester United game, which was dumb of me. And then he scored, and then I brought him right back in, and he did well for me again. And then I got rid of him in the wild card. So because I wildcarded, I was able to transfer him out. If I wouldn't have wildcarded, I think I would still have him. So that's where I'm at with that, because it's sort of like I mentioned earlier. I don't think we're always going to have the situation where we can validate having Kane or Son in our team because of how good Tottenham have been. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think they're good options. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Good luck this game week. Thanks for people that stayed the whole time and all that good stuff. The regulars. Hopefully, I was able to help out so much. Hopefully, my team does well, and hopefully your team does well, just not as well as my team, of course. I still want to beat you, but yeah. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Hopefully, I'll have a video out. I'd say Tuesday. Bye, guys.